me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Hello, guys. I have Jackie here. We're going to talk about creativity in HR, which is like an interesting topic because I'm like, well, can we be creative? Because it feels like so structured, the payroll, the compensation, the compliance. So I love our topic. And let me tell you who Jackie is. She's in human resources, an executive consultant with SHRM, creative and effective HR leader specializing in engagement, innovation, strategy, culture, partnership, and success. All my favorite topics. And right now, she's also looking to join a great company. So it would be great to chat with you and like, what is your view? Kind, respectable, right? Company, and what creates such a company? I'm sure you'll have some tips for us. Hey, Jackie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Anya. I love your energy. You have a great program, and I love following it. So I appreciate you asking me to be here. Yeah, I mean, we've all, first of all, just shout out to, the HR people watching, because if you do HR,
Ooh,
it is
ooh,
a lot. And it's a lot times, people don't really understand all of the amazing things that the HR professionals do. So shout
yeah.
out to all the HR professionals who are doing it, have continued to do it, worked through all the burnouts. It's impressive.
I
So
feel like it's never ending. Like we were just dealing with the pandemic and then the quiet quitting and then a recession and budget cuts. Now, yesterday, a friend of mine got laid off from Cisco, part of like the whole 75,000 people. I don't know, 4,000 just in the Bay Area. It's like, we can't take a breath. It's like, Jesus, can we just like slow down for 6 months and just, have some team building fun days? Is that your
exactly.
experience?
Exactly. And then, as soon as you kind of get things situated, then so there's a kind of another uprise of things. And there is pressure now for HR to be in charge of all the fun stuff too,
Yeah.
not just all of the things that are, compliant and paperwork and things like that, but you've got to also now be the fun committee too. So, I'm glad the pendulum has swung that way, because
Yeah.
many years ago, when I first got started, I mean, creativity, engagement, all those words didn't,
That's
D&I didn't even exist.
I know.
So, I'm glad that we're here to where those things are
Yeah.
happening. But it's a lot more,
But it's just a
great.
lot to expect from one person, right? Even if we look at teams and personality types and communication styles, someone who is really good with compliance, right? And policies and procedures was probably not the class clown growing up.
Exactly right.
Like
Exactly
those are
right.
like two different personality types. Like
Right.
that's why I hate compliance. I tell people all the time, I don't do processes, I don't do policies, I don't do compliance. I am the class clown. I will work with your leadership team, I'll train your managers, and I will outsource because it's like to expect those such different skill sets from the same person is challenging. Is that your experience?
It is. I do have so many amazing colleagues, though, that are good at all of it. And I think we've had to become good at
Exist.
all of it. They exist. They definitely exist. I mean, I feel like I was one of those people who early on decided that, I could be good at the compliance, I could be good at organization, but I could also be a kind, genuine person
Yeah.
and care about people and care about how they're doing and how they're,
Yeah.
how they're succeeding. So, I mean, again, a lot of my colleagues are just skilled in every aspect
You
of
had to, yeah, you had to become. I guess I had the privilege of like, I'm just gonna outsource it. I don't want to do it, but you
right.
had to become, yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
it's
so
true.
where do you see potential for creativity in HR?
So I think, I mean, a lot of times, one thing that's super important, I think, is especially as a leader or a manager, is just building that trust, first of all, because you can be super fun and creative and silly, but if they don't feel like they know you, like you, can trust you, they're probably not going to open up enough to feel like they can be creative.
Or
So,
themselves,
or the
right?
exactly. Yeah. So a sense of just making people feel like they belong is
Yeah,
very important. And being the reason that they can do that is that when you're, as a boss, a good listener, you're vulnerable, you don't know it all. So once you kind of let down your guard, I feel like your teams can feel a little bit safer to say, this is a genuine person. She really cares about us. She wants us to innovate and create. She's okay with us making mistakes. And
yeah,
she's okay with us being a little silly.
yeah.
And I
And
think
making
sometimes
it fun. I like to say like work sucks. Can we make it suck less? And just like people we work with and have fun doing it. Yeah, I agree with you. I preach and teach every program that we start with any new client. I tell them psychological safety and trust is the foundation. Because if you don't have that, people are not going to be receptive to your feedback. They will not receive coaching from you because they're questioning, like, do you have my best interest at heart or only
Exactly.
organizations?
Exactly.
Like, then I think like you have an agenda versus like Anya, like I have an agenda, I have a role, and I deeply care about you. So what is that balance where we can help you achieve what you want, but also meet our organizational goals? But that takes trust.
It really does. And I mean, the best ideas come out of just silly innovation.
Yes.
And
Hours.
right, right. Or just brainstorming or just having,
Yeah.
a dreaming session. That's one way that I have worked on building creativity into the day is
Oh,
to have dream time. You've got to schedule that in
yeah.
because
Space to brainstorm, space
yeah,
to dream. Yeah.
yeah, the day is so busy. Our lists of to-do items are so long. If you don't schedule in that dream time to say, this hour is about nothing that we're working on right now. It's about the what ifs.
Mhm.
How can
I
we,
love that.
what can we make better? If you schedule it in, you're more likely to do it. And then it's also just it's an escape space to say that, my ideas matter.
Yeah.
Usually you want to hire people who are good at a lot of things, but if they're great at a lot of things, but we stifle most of them, then why did we make,
And feeling safe, yeah, to contribute, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, again, psychological safety goes down to like, do I even belong here? That's kind of like the bottom line. Like, do I even like hoard these people? Am I one of them? Do I belong? And then asking questions. I feel safe not to appear stupid. So I'm going to
right,
ask questions. And
right,
then the next level is contribution. And contribution is again safety. Like, I feel like offering wacky ideas because I
right.
feel safe. Like people not gonna judge me. They'll be like, "Oh, that's interesting." So yeah, a lot of games of like yes and keep
Hmm.
developing yes and. So that is a creative way. I've never heard of like a dream session, like scheduled dream sessions of. Another game I keep thinking we because we do a lot of this, but it again it's not on my radar right now. But it's one of the things we get. What's the gossip? Unrealistic gossip about our company 1 year from now. Oh, did you know Beyonce joined such and such company?
That's
Oh,
funny.
and they brought elephants to their like team building day. Yes, and we all stand in circle and keep building off each other. Like, what's the gossip on social media about our company? So that's just a cool, creative way to help people like, I don't know, have fun and brainstorm.
I think that's a great idea, and it also gets them kind of out of their comfort zone,
Yeah.
a little bit, and, and they're dreaming, like, unrealistic, unbelievable dreams, so there's no wrong answer
There's
there.
no wrong answer. I love it. So what else? Let's think about like other maybe creative. So team building. We talk a lot about like team building, right? And how to show that you care because again, this is the show about a bad boss. And bad bosses, I don't know, bad bosses are too attached to being liked. Bad bosses care about results too much. They forget about their people. They forget to bring people along with them. They just want to make sure stuff gets done. So, good bosses, what's a creative way to build a team?
Well, like, again, I think a good boss in general it listens more than they talk, so that's kind of the first building the foundation so that they're listening to their team, and so the team has a chance to share their ideas. But there's a lot of ways for to get your team kind of revved up. First of all, I was going to say if you're an HR person and you don't feel like you're that creative and there's a lot of pressure, I guarantee you there's somebody on your team that is, and make them your crazy captain,
Yeah,
make them your creativity,
love it.
princess
Crazy
or
cat
prince.
of
Yeah,
business.
exactly.
I love it.
Because there's people who love doing that, so you don't have
Love
to
doing
have
that.
right.
Yeah,
They don't have
just
to have
need
all the
permission to like, you mean I can do anything? I was working with the team. It reminds me, last week I was in LA and this team, again, there was a lot of and they're all young people. So again, super young in their 20s, technology company. they were talking about like their favorite time was in 2019. And like there's a little bit of that nostalgia that even though the office is there, gorgeous, beautiful office, people don't come. And I
Right.
said, what was it about? Like, because we talked about like what was the best team you ever worked on and what made it so. And he said, oh, we had water guns in the office. We were playing games. We had competition. And the HR person in the room goes, I bought them. I bought those water guns. Remember, guys? And it's so silly, but people remember that. Like these guys were like, it was silly. Like we had fun. We did a lot of work. We worked long hours, but we had fun. And
Absolutely.
even though the office is there, the toys are there, people don't come to the office anymore.
Yeah, that's hard. And virtual, that it's virtual and hybrid working, remote and hybrid is a
Yeah.
reality, but there's definitely a lot of ways. Once you have that, again, established base of trust, I can be silly, it's accepted, then you can kind of layer on. There's so many things, and luckily we have now, especially post-COVID, so many resources on how to, engage your remote workforce. And I've done, like workspace makeovers, so that works even if you're working at home, because you're used to
Oh,
looking at somebody in their meetings and they have the same, like I have the same background, but then you have a day where you just kind of do a whole makeover and then you share what you've done with your office space.
I love
Silly.
it. That's
Yes.
so cool. Imagine if you also gave me like 2 hours, because that's the thing. I'm like, I don't have time. But if
Right.
the company was like, hey, how about we all take 2 hours to like revamp our workspace? Think of something like, again, and we can share ideas. What would make it more productive and more interesting and more engaging and fun and light? And like, you have 2 hours to just go for it. I'd be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. You can even paint in 2 hours, for goodness sakes. You
God,
can
I,
hope that,
I,
but
I need to give myself 2 hours to redo my workspace. Yeah, no, I love it. That's such a great idea. And thank God we have Instagram, we have TikTok. You
Yep.
can go and find all the people. So, what do you think of like hiring? Let's talk a little bit about it because again, big part of HR role, right, is hiring, recruitment because again, if we talk about culture, culture of fun, innovation, creativity, trust, how do we make sure we hire those people?
Well, I mean, again, you don't always know 100% somebody's full, obviously, personality and full capabilities in the interview process, but you can get a good sense.
Yeah.
And, like you've talked about before on lots of your talks, is just having that culture really defined is key out the door. Because once your culture is defined, that dictates who you're hiring and why you're hiring. So, that's important, first of all, is knowing what are the expectations we're going to have of the people we hire, and does this person have that? So if it's maybe somebody who is um just more very very outgoing or very excitable, but this job is very monotonous and tedious, it may
Uh,
not be a fit. It doesn't mean that person isn't going to be able to break outside their shell. So you don't want to you want to give everybody a fair shot, but just kind of cull down some of the attributes that you're looking for from the
Also being
beginning.
honest, like being really honest what it is and what it isn't. I
Yeah,
just gave the statistic
exactly.
80%, 80%, 80 people decide if they're gonna stay or go within during their onboarding week.
I believe it, and I think onboarding is so, and it's one of the most essential parts. I mean, I think actually starting at recruiting, that tells you exactly who the people are with your recruiting
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
How, if people are getting back to you, are they kind in their emails? Is the rejection email horrible? Or
It's also an employer brand, everything. Yeah.
1,000%. Exactly. So that onboarding is your first impression to say, this is who we are. And hopefully you have, a little bit of everything in that onboarding experience so that they feel comfortable. They feel like they belong. They feel like they know how to get their resources. And again, the more comfortable they feel, the more they're going to come out of their shell and meet people, engage with their teams better, and contribute more, which is what you ultimately want.
Yeah. But also make introductions. So many people come in and Send a letter, email a couple of days before and tell them we're so excited, Jackie, you're gonna join us. Like if I got that email, people are like, people are excited, they know about you. I'll be like, me? They know the day off. Again, like what are the expectations? People come, they have no space, they have no computer, no desk. Like make it like introduce people to each other, like have lunch with people, have team. Because again, we're so busy with logistics and execution that we really undervalue the power of relationships.
For sure. For sure. And even like a pre-gift, I think that's something fun to send out is just, this is who we are. Welcome. We're so excited to have you, a little mug or a little kit for them to get started. But I think the big thing, and sometimes where the mark is missed, is you have to be those people that you're portraying.
Yeah.
So your managers you got to train your managers to say, this is our expectation of how we treat our people always.
Yeah.
Because if you're sending out silly gifts and you're having trivia night, and you're having these things, but the people don't feel safe, they don't feel like their managers care about them, then you're kind of wasting time and money. It's worth building that structure of safety and trust and value, and then adding on the creativity and the fun. Otherwise, I think it goes, kind of
Well,
unnoticed.
ask anybody watching right now, define integrity. Integrity is walking your talk.
Right.
But why do we not see that with the company? It's like, well, here's who we say we are, and here's how we actually do things around here. That's the quickest way to corrode trust and psychological safety is to not follow through. Then don't say it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so interesting. We see it in others, but not in ourselves. We're like, well, yeah, that doesn't apply to me. But you guys, integrity is really important to us.
It's really true, which is why you need systems to check all that. We need ourselves checked. We need, the CEO, from the CEO all the way down. Everybody needs checks and balances to say, are we staying true to our mission, our values, our vision? Are we caring for our employees the way we say we are?
Yeah.
Is that, doing surveys, is that truly how they feel? Or
Yeah.
are they just saying, yeah, everything's great, I'm so happy,
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
looking for another job,
I also had a client, we talked a lot about liability. They hired me to train all of their managers. And it's like a 6-month manager training program that we put them through. And I asked them, like, have you guys done any surveys? What's your performance management like? Because like that's the first thing we talk about systems. I'm going to train your people. What is your performance management like? And they said, yeah, we just completed all of our annual reviews. I was like, great. I'd love to see some feedback. What feedback are people giving managers? Oh no, everyone is perfect. No improvements are needed. Everyone got A+. I'm like, do you understand that if 2 weeks from now, Peter comes and tells me, Anya, we need to terminate this person, it's a huge lawsuit liability.
For sure.
You want to terminate me? Well, I just got my performance review and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect. I never received any feedback. I'm like, and this is what the importance of training your managers. It's like, this is a liability. This is not just a good to have. It's a huge liability and potential, discrimination, wrongful termination, lawsuits. Because it's like you have to, if you do not give perfect reviews to people who deserve feedback. And
For
improvement.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it also just sends a message of confusion. I think if you know that you've got people on your team who are underperforming and they're getting great reviews, what does that say for how well you think you're going to want to step it up? It's confusing to
And
people.
everyone sees it. The thing is, people are not stupid.
Right,
Everyone can see
exactly.
the performance bias. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like when we started with care, right? Do you care about your people enough to be uncomfortable and give them candid feedback?
Right.
That's, to me, that's the question. Because if you don't care enough, you'll be like, you only worry about being comfortable and being liked. But do you care enough to say, Anya, I care enough about you to put myself through this 5 minutes of discomfort for the sake of your growth?
Right. Absolutely.
Mindset. And if you're
Yeah,
not, maybe
absolutely.
you're in the wrong role.
And again, like kind of bringing it back to creativity, there's all sorts of ways you can be creative with your teams. You can have days off, you can have volunteer days together, you can have trips together, you can have
Feedback days. Yay. Everyone is so excited. We're going to go and give each other feedback all day today.
That would be good and exhausting.
That would be a good creative day. I'm sure everybody would be thrilled. I love
um,
it. But
but
it's true.
the way
Yeah,
you
it's
find out though what your team needs and what they want for those creative days is those special one-on-one meetings, those face-to-face meetings. If your managers aren't making the time to really get to know who you are as a person, then they can't properly carve out creative days that are going to fit with what you want. You may not want to go sailing because you hate the ocean, but your manager didn't know that because they didn't take enough time to get to know you a little bit. So getting to know your team is super important for creating those creative outlets so that they're in a line with what your team really wants and what makes them kind of revved up and thrive a little bit more.
you're bringing a really important point of also ask your people. Guess what? You don't have to make it up. You don't have to imagine it. You can just ask people, survey your stuff, and be like, what would be a cool, fun day to connect? And
Exactly.
see, like, what are the options? It's like, that's why, like, we started with listening. Get curious. It's like, because again, I see so many managers like create this amazing collaborative experiences, and people are like, I don't want to do that.
I
That's not
know.
my thing. I don't want to be part of it. It's like,
It,
just ask your
yeah.
people,
That happens all the
collaborate,
time. It happens all the time. It happens with training too. You make this blanket training and assume that it's gonna
relevant to everybody.
exactly, and it's not. But if you just do the survey up front and listen for exactly what training is needed,
Yeah.
it's more targeted. It's the same thing with creativity for sure.
Oh, I love it. There's so many things we discussed. Thank you, Jackie, so much for your time.
Of course.
And yeah, because when we started, I was like, well, creativity. But I feel like you have shared so many amazing ideas from recruitment to onboarding to hiring to lunches and team building days. Really, really appreciate your insights. And I hope you land somebody who's listening right now will be like, I want to have that on my team. I hope you
Aw,
land with the client that is like amazing and fun and again create that space for just feeling safe to be authentically ourselves.
100%. Well, thank you so much for having me. You're awesome and amazing, and I appreciate the time that you took with me today. And again, shout out to all our amazing HR people. Keep up,
Yeah.
keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on and message me if you want to be a guest on my show and if you have some interesting thoughts and you're like, hey, here's what companies are missing out on. Happy to have more HR professionals on my show so we can help people be better bosses.
Perfect.
Enjoy the
Fantastic.
day. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.